Assalamu alaikum. You've heard the title. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Okay, so basically, I'm going to share some insights from industry, and then at the end, we'll share how we can view one insights and also how we can keep on progressing with AI. So the first insight is that Shopify's AI first mandate, it was actually a leaked memo, and then because it was leaked, the CEO of Shopify released himself as well. And what it shows is that you have to try and use AI first, because AI now can do tasks autonomously, and it requires digital skills. It requires sort of new type of skills to understand how AI works and what type of things AI can do. Therefore, it's much important to actually try and force yourself to use those skills and learn those skills. And one of the things they mentioned in their mandate is that you have to justify why AI agent cannot do the job before trying to hire someone new. So this is a really interesting insight, and I ask you to go and read about it. And this is something that's going to impact, and obviously there will be a spectrum of companies who are adapting AI in different ways. Shopify's mandate seems to be the most forefront in this. The next insight is that the real reason why AI is taking off so fast. The biggest reason is that AI is actually doing real work. So if you compare it to the previous wave, if you had a CRM, and a startup was basically creating a new CRM and saying our CRM is like 10x better than previous CRMs, what happens is, the issue is in training, in rolling that CRM out, the whole company has to come with the journey. And that sometimes is subjective, and the productivity gains are sort of like just productivity gains, subjective, difficult to measure. So that's where you have like long sales cycles, like 9 to 24 months. Whereas AI, the promise is that one software engineer with Cursor is able to do work of 3 software engineers, provided that software engineers understands how to use Cursor effectively. And 3 software engineers can do the work of 10, and 10 software engineers can do the work of 50 if they have the right tools and they have the right training. So that's where AI's impact is massive, because it's actually doing real work rather than just subjective productivity gains. Okay. The next thing is that programming or natural language, because obviously with LLMs, we interact with them now in English, and that also means we can interact with them in other languages, in our own languages. And what that means is, if we all can speak English, we can all understand English. So what sets us apart is basically our communication skills and our critical thinking. So those are the 2 bits I'll touch upon later as well. The other thing is that it makes programming accessible to everyone. At least the simple apps and simple concepts, they can be created very, very easily, very, very fast. So that's where the whole world is shifting. So the other bit I want to highlight is that Andre Karpathy very recently in his talk mentioned how should we design our systems. And one of the things that he mentioned was we should create systems that are flexible, where a human in the loop can come in. And it's not necessarily about ethical reasons. It's actually because when you have an AI system and you have a pipeline, say 4 steps, each step where AI is taking some action, there's probably about 10% error. And now if you have like 4 steps, that 10% error gets multiplied, and the end result is really bad. So in order to reduce the error, it's better to have the human in the loop. That actually makes the whole process much better, much more effective and efficient. So that's where even though AI is here, that means we have to, if we want to really effectively take advantage of this, we have to design the systems that have human in the loop to have the best impact possible. And when that happens, obviously this means that our jobs are changing. Some obviously will be lost, but a lot of jobs will be changing in how we actually work with systems rather than simply completely going away. The next thing I want to show is that this is a graph which basically shows red lines which are regulated fields or regulated sectors, and the blue are unregulated sectors. And what happens is, in regulated sectors, things get more and more expensive, and unregulated sectors, things get more and more cheaper. And what's going to happen is that, this is actually an insight from Mark Anderson, where he basically talked about that what's going to happen is that not all jobs will be lost in the same way. Some are going to be protected by regulations, such as say in medical fields and maybe some insurance as well. In certain countries like, say, France and Germany, where jobs are protected by regulation, there will be the uptake of AI will be very different, maybe very slow. Whereas in places where there's no regulation, the uptake of AI will be much faster, and it will be the work will change, the way we work will change as well. So that's something to take a note, that it's not all like doom and gloom. The jobs are going to change, and how they're going to change is going to be very different in different places. The next part is basically probably good news for most of these most people here, if you're working in, say, IT or similar fields. That what actually happens in companies is that the budget allocated for software is between 3 to 7%. And that's currently without AI. Now that AI is able to do, obviously, real work, and also it's able to do real work in not just software, but also in research, in finance, in sales, marketing, operations. So when that happens, then it's very much likely that the budget allocated for AI is much higher. Rather than sticking at about 7%, it's likely to go all the way to 50%. Because normally in companies, sales budget sometimes is like 20%, 30%. Marketing budget is also like 20, 30%. And when AI is able to do those jobs, that means that budget is going to be allocated to AI. And when that happens, then what happens is, obviously, the people who are working in sales and marketing are likely to go towards AI. So that's where the jobs are going to probably shift as well. So that sort of thing would likely to happen. Another one is, so Mark Cuban's basically, urgent learning sort of guidance. This is basically, it's so important. The reason is that, so he basically mentioned two things separately, that, I'm always trying to learn every 3 months what's new and what's now possible with AI that was not possible before. And second thing he mentioned, that if he was really like a 20-year-old kid, he would be spending all his time trying to learn about what AI can do. And what's interesting is that I have to, as someone who is always like trying to see what AI is able to do, I have to constantly learn a new technology or a new pattern of using the similar technology every few weeks. And the reason is that even if nothing big comes out, like say, okay, GPT-4, the architecture changes have been much different since GPT-4 came out. Even then, what happens is, because the pricing goes down on AI, on the token usage, what was 50 grand, what costed say $50 grand just about say 3 years ago or 2 years ago, now costs about $1,000. So then what was impossible now becomes possible. So because of that, there's a batch API, which means that you can process lots of data in parallel, and you can get the output you're looking for in minutes rather than in hours or weeks. So that's another thing, that basically learning is extremely important, because the field is changing really fast right now. Okay, so what's coming next? Massive rewrite of software. There will be rise of personal AI computing and LLM-specific interfaces. More specific, I would say, voice interfaces is going to become much, much more common. We're going to start using voice for interacting with computers much more than ever before. And it's going to understand your Punjabi accents. It's not only going to understand your Punjabi accent, it's going to actually understand Punjabi as well. So feel free to speak in any language. Okay, so the next part is, this is my last point, and probably the most important point. So the Prophet ﷺ says that if you were to take a leaf of a tree and you were to study it for 1,000 years, the 1,000 years would finish, but the wonders or the discoveries you would get from that leaf would not finish. And then he says the reason is anything that is brought into existence by an infinite power must necessarily contain infinite wonders and properties. So this is a very interesting principle. And without this principle, even I was thinking, oh my God, AGI is going to take over and we are all going to lose our jobs. And you know what, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I have another point to make. So there are two verses in the Holy Quran which are talking about the similar idea, and you probably have heard about them, the pen and the ink, ocean and the trees concept. I sort of combined that two verses into a single sentence. And what it says is that if you turned every tree into pens and made ink from all the water from every ocean, and then you multiplied that ocean by any number of more oceans, and then to top it all off, you doubled it further, even then you would not be able to write and exhaust the knowledge of God with those resources. So what that points us that in the universe we live in, we have infinite knowledge, infinite scope of discovery, even though we have finite resources. So there's no way we can actually discover things and find everything out.
This is the verse from Surah Kahf.
Yes. Yeah. I've pointed out the verses are here. So the point here is that there's a project, obviously you're aware of, a $500 billion nuclear-powered Stargate AI project, really amazing project, really big, already underway, and there's a competing project from Elon Musk, and there'll be probably more competing projects. What's going to happen is that's all great, and we came out with this concept of AGI, artificial general intelligence, and we had this. There was a promise that it's going to take over. It's going to be PhD level intelligence, and it's really powerful. It's going to be better than everyone. And then there's a new concept of artificial super intelligence, which is trying to say that AGI is already achieved, even though it's debatable. And even say in 2 years' time, it's likely that there will be like another term coined, maybe artificial hyperintelligence or something, right? And the thing is that some of it is very useful to keep the hype going, but the thing is that we will never reach a point where we actually are able to discover things. Even if we're able to discover things much faster, 500x times faster. Even then, we still have a lot to discover, a lot to work on, and a lot to do as humanity. So the thing is that if you're in AI or if you're trying to get into AI, I would say, you know what, go full speed ahead. It's all good. So that basically is it. This is basically the last slide on key takeaways. But yeah, this is it. Thank you.